Sure, most horror films nowadays can be really exaggerated, not to mention those with cringe-worthy special effects and generic storylines. We are not here to talk about those, so let's explore something real. The actual stuff that nightmares are made of. The 5 most haunted places on Earth. But before things get really scary, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Number 5. Eastern State Penitentiary, Philadelphia. Built in 1829, the Eastern State Penitentiary was built to punish America's most vicious renegades with solitary confinement. This looks nothing like the jail we see in movies, where people share tiny cells, eat together, and do time with fellow prisoners. Solitary confinement meant that they would stay in one place and do everything alone. As you can imagine, no man is an island. So what did they do to those who tried to disobey the rules? Some pretty messed up things, like chaining an inmate's tongue to his wrist, and a lot of other punishments I'd rather not mention. You can Google it, but don't say I didn't warn you. A lot of ghostly sightings and sounds from way back in time have been heard inside the structure's walls to this day. This huge structure stopped operating as a jail in the year 1970 and has now become a museum and tourist attraction, especially during the months leading up to Halloween. Number 4. Ancient Ram Inn, Wotton-under-Edge, England. This inn is called ancient for one reason, because it is. Since the year 1145, this place has changed and evolved many times. From that of a priest's house, a boarding home for masons and slaves, and is now an inn. Reports of ghosts are very common in this place over thousands of years, such as creepy children, a high priestess, and probably the most terrifying one of all, an incubus is said to haunt this spot. And no, we don't mean the band Incubus, the evil kind of incubus. Again, you can ask Google, but you've been warned. Number 3. The RMS Queen Mary, Long Beach, California. A luxury cruise ship turned World War II turned hotel, the RMS Queen Mary had its fair share of good and bad energy. Most might assume that the Queen got its reputation for being haunted during times of war, but it's actually not the case. Some of the eeriest events that took place in the Queen Mary were actually from its time as a luxury liner from 1936 to 1967. Being a luxury cruise ship that catered to A-list celebrities and some other important people in history, there was at least one known murder and several other rumored murders that were never confirmed or reported as fact. Then there were children who died of drowning in the ship's pavilion pool. Drowning in a pool in the middle of the ship, floating on a bigger body of water. Ironically tragic indeed. But the most gruesome Queen Mary death of all is that of 18-year-old sailor John Petter, who was crushed to death in the engine room during a routine drill in 1966. Currently, RMS Queen Mary is docked permanently in Long Beach as a hotel that hosts haunted tours. Number 2. Tower of London, England. Built in 1006 by William the Conqueror, the Tower of London has been many different things in a span of many decades, that of which includes a prison and an execution site where a lot of angry deranged criminals were put to rest. Henry VIII also ordered the execution of 2 of his wives, Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard here. The ghosts of these women are said to still haunt the site until this day. Several accounts of Anne Boleyn's ghost sightings even confirm that she was headless and carrying her own head with her hands. How creepy is that? Currently, The tower houses some of the most precious stones in the world, the crown jewels and the Cullinan-1, the world's largest cut diamond. If bling isn't your thing, Twilight tours around the haunted property happens once in a while, and is said to be a really creepy experience altogether. We're down to the final place in our list of the most haunted. Ready? But first, don't forget to hit like and share this video and subscribe to our channel. Number 1. Island of Poveglia, Venice, Italy. Let's move from haunted houses, hotels, ships, and jails to an even bigger area of paranormal phenomena, the haunted island of Poveglia. This island has been labeled and could be very well possibly be the most haunted place on Earth. And knowing its history, it's easy to see why. This island has been a place of exile for the deceased and dying several times in history. A place where those displaying symptoms of the deadly wrath of the bubonic plague would come to quarantine and eventually die. If that's not heavy enough for one island's history, it was also converted into an asylum in the late 1800s. And in the mid-1900s, experiments were performed on the patients that made both the doctors and patients go crazy and commit acts of self-harm and suicide. Today, the island is abandoned, avoided, and surely still haunted. Which haunted places in the world that didn't make it to our roundup would you like to hear more about? Let us know in the comments section, and we might just make part 2 of this video. We post content daily, so don't forget to hit subscribe.